have always struggled with and continue to do so today with relationships and all of that with women?
A person that doesn't have any game. He doesn't have a mouthpiece. He doesn't know how to talk to women. He doesn't know how to communicate himself. He is not authentic. He doesn't know how to seduce. He doesn't know how to romance a woman. He doesn't know how to be seductive. He doesn't know how to be smooth. Hell, he doesn't even know how to be kinky, nasty, freaky, or naughty. He cannot make a woman feel sexy.
So he's saying that he lacks all of these things. He can't talk to women. He doesn't have mouthpiece. But he doesn't have any evidence of MTR around the woman that he wants to date, that he wants to seduce. We haven't seen it. So therefore, it is very difficult to put those things on him.
A lot of people assume that because it's a third world country or it's a foreign country, that women just automatically are going to rip and take their clothes off for an American. It doesn't work that way. When you're an American, they see American dollars. And it makes sense because they see dollars, but they also see the desperation behind the money. They see the femininity behind the money. They see a person who, when he's around a woman, doesn't even know how to move like a man around a woman.
So he's saying that a lot of American men just think that foreign women will blindly submit to you. There is some truth to that, but ultimately, when you look at MTR's catalog of videos for those, that month he was there, women played a very little role in that. It was much more about self-reflection. It was much more about opportunities for peace. It was more about a conversation about saving money. Largely, women came in the last place of that. And it's funny because a lot of the guys in the dating coaching market, they're trying to make the trip was more or less about women when it was not. That's kind of what Alpha Male's strategies sort of insinuated in his responses. Although he was way more diplomatic than Steve, Lucario also, but the woman was the last on the bucket list. And for a guy like MTR, who is a high earner, if you really want, you just bring a woman from someplace else. You can get some woman there. It doesn't even really matter because that comes with the territory. I don't understand why guys think it's that deep when it's really not about getting women. Then this part here is killer.
He's not talking about the local women who have integrity and honor and they kind of value themselves. We're talking about the prostitutes and whores. And it's crazy how you guys think that just because she's in a hut, that she's going to just open her legs to an American. He has no, okay, watch. The same thing, the same way he was with Melly in Jamaica is the same way he is in Thailand or Russia or wherever he goes.
So any person that wants to date MTR or a passport bro, they got to be whores.
Boy, don't sit your stupid ass down. Who the you think you is?
I mean, he has some good arguments to hear, but this one is completely bigoted and biased simply because he doesn't like MTR. And again, I know Steve. Steve argues like that. I worked with Steve for a while. I had no idea that he had this problem with MTR. But, I mean, this is silly. Somebody who's a passport bro, they're obviously in the sex trade. They're not nice, wholesome women. Again, there's no way to really prove this. But again, like I said, he really did his best to try to assassinate MTR, but just a lot of the things that he was trying to do just didn't really apply to the accusations, in my honest opinion. Because according to her, he was not interested in her. It was a business trip. If you want to say that he tried to imply that he clapped on a thumbnail, okay, fine. All right. You can have that. But then you still can't talk about game or he don't have any game. You've never seen him be around the woman that he actually wanted to be around. or that he actually liked. We still haven't seen it. So, guys, what do you think? It's your boy Usher Jackson back at it again. The episode of The Celebrity Talk. I will teach you for all that you subscribe to the bell. We're out.
At Renewal by Anderson, we believe in strengthening the communities that strengthen us. From bringing comfort to cancer patients.
Think about how lucky that you are to grow up in a place.
Airbronics.com.
I'm gonna see if I can get away with wearing this on Piers today.
Oh no!
Listen, Spielberg is a fucking sellout. I think he's an elitist. I think he's a part of the cabal. I think he prays to Moloch. I believe all of that. But when he said he was approaching Disclosure Day, the religious angle, he didn't necessarily say he's going to make Christians question their beliefs. He just said that, is this going to be a God for Earth? Like, we're going to talk about, is there a God for the universe or Earth? So, like, if disclosure happens, they will definitely talk about religion. Here's where I'll side with Breitbart. I don't think they're going to question it with Muslims. I think they're just going to just talk about Christians. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you've seen the movie.
Yes, the only religion dealt with in the movie is Christianity. So nothing about, and it's the conflict really is World War III is on the horizon, and there's this, like, it's just sort of in the background, and then Disclosure Day kind of resolves things.
So
And
the aliens come down and save us.
no, but things are disclosed, and that the world stops to listen.
So Jeremy John says the movie doesn't necessarily have an ending. Is that true?
Oh.
Yeah, it's you get blue balls from this film. You're waiting for the thing that's in the fucking title, and then they take forever to get to it, and it's a colossal disappointment. Now this movie it's bad. It's so bad. It's yeah. And there on so many levels it's bad. I'm doing a full review on my show later today. But the bullet points, it's edited like you're trying to run through Jello. Every scene plods along. It's this whole mystery thing. We already know. We know from the trailers give so much away. There are shots from the third act of the movie in the trailer that reveal things. And you don't think that title?
He should have just done a sequel to Close Encounters. E.T. was kind of a sequel to Close Encounters, and just have the E.T.s come down and just fucking murder
Richard
everybody.
Dreyfuss is alive.
Yeah.
You could have him have a cameo somehow. You could tie it in. It's such a colossal
I
disappointment.
want to see the ETs come down and they go, oh, where's Elliot? And then you find out like Elliot died of AIDS or something. And then they just turn red. And their little fingers, they start killing everybody.
But it's
I think
also
I just made a better movie.
Yeah, I mean, so many aspects of this film are bad.
And he was so good. He was so good at one time. Remember, Chris, you're old like me.
Yes.
Spielberg was rejected by establishment Hollywood. They hated his guts. They wouldn't give him Best Picture for fucking anything. He should have won 3 Best Pictures in a row, and they didn't give it to him. Raiders should have won Best Picture. E.T. should have won Best Picture. The biggest crime of all from the Academy is not Annie Hall winning over Star Wars, although that's the second biggest.
Yeah.
It is E.T. winning the Special Effects Award over Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Which is a fucking joke. Oh, I was so mad. My parents couldn't understand. Why are you so mad? I'm like, don't you understand? Those special effects were so much better. And they didn't care. They didn't care.
Yeah.
But Spielberg used to be one of us. He depicted a residential America in Southern California like perfectly.
Suburban
America in E.T. and the other movie he totally directed, which was Poltergeist.
shopping with blinders on. It's a meat gold mine over there. Premium cuts, that's premium cost. Grass fed.
Something new in every aisle. It's an Aldi thing.
On three. Liberty Mutual customizes car insurance to help people save hundreds. 1, 2, 3.
Liberty Mutual
Nailed it. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Get more of what you love for less by stacking your savings at Raymore and Flanagan. Want to buy now and pay over time? Explore our flexible monthly financing plans. More style, more savings, with up to 20% off. Only at Raymore and Flanagan.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he became part of the establishment, started winning Academy Awards, and let's not forget he brought Rachel Zegler on us.
And then she turned
I'm
out.
going to mention that on Piers, by the way. And thanks, Spielberg, for bringing us Rachel Zegler. Hey, didn't he, West Side Story, didn't they do half of it in Spanish and didn't do subtitles, Chris?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater. There were no subtitles for the Spanish. What an arrogant, stupid thing to do.
You just need to learn Spanish to watch my movie.
But look, Disclosure Day is a giant mystery box where the mystery is in the title. And then the interesting thing about Disclosure Day is how does the world react with disclosure? And it's like this movie was written 25 years ago because no one gives a shit. It feels old. Like, are you going to make the FNT crew watch it for Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think David Grush was somewhat involved as a consultant, but I'm wondering did you get Richard Dolan? Richard Dolan's written multiple books on what if we disclose things now, and plays the scenario out, and they're great books. Did they talk to him at all?
I don't think anyone will care. And I also think that it feels like, because this movie is so dated and so non-revelatory, that it feels like he was made to make this movie. Like, this is the movie he chooses to make. Close Encounters, great, unbelievable. And then movie after that, E.T. takes it further. We actually get to know aliens. Well, okay, the next idea is what happens to the world if you disclose things, and we don't even get to see that in the movie.
So it happens right at the end.
It happens right at the end, and it's, who fucking cares? We knew this when we sat down and bought a ticket. It's so bad. Not only that, it's one of the worst scores John Williams has ever done. Nothing memorable. It's it has the same problem that every modern score has. It meanders.
Ooh.
It doesn't accent the action or underlie emotion. It meanders, and there's a score there, but you hardly notice it because who gives a shit? And also, he's not writing these scores. He has proteges that kind of help him. That's very common with
Okay, well, they're both really old, and this is going to be John Williams' last movie.
Yeah, probably.
And
yeah.
I don't know how many more Spielberg has left in him.
But everyone that's writing a review is like, God, I really don't want to give a bad. This movie is bad, but, and then they go in. It's like everyone's almost apologizing for giving a bad review.
I won't.
Of this movie. I don't know.
Well, maybe I'll like it. I don't know. We'll see. It doesn't have a ton of buzz. It's not like people are super excited for this.
I have tickets to see it a second time. I think I'm just going to cancel them. I don't need to.
And I'm going to see it Thursday.
Yeah. It's,
you can love Annie Hall all you want, chat. It's not better than Star Wars. Nobody watches Annie Hall.
It was fine for its time, I guess.
Take the Money and Run is better. And Woody Allen's a
Bananas.
degenerate pervert.
Bananas was good. I like the earlier funny films of Woody Allen.
I don't watch any of them because nobody like, you aren't seeing Annie Hall being re-released in theaters and selling out.
No.
You're not seeing Annie Hall being sold as an IP for $5 billion, but you are seeing Star Wars. So I think the moniker, the thing that makes a best picture is, will it be timeless? Will this be remembered in years? And Star Wars checked every box on that one. It's one of the AFI's 100 greatest films, and it'll be discussed in 100 more years when people have completely forgotten about Annie Hall. And then don't get me started on Chariots of Fucking Fire, a bunch of slow English dudes running to, admittedly, a good Vangelis soundtrack,
It was a good soundtrack.
winning over Raiders of the Lost Ark. That is some bullshit.
It's weird when you look at the history of the Oscars, like how many movies got beat that we don't even talk about them. We just don't talk about the winners. Annie Hall, you mentioned. I mean, I liked, Annie Hall I liked Woody Allen movies as a kid because I was a nerd. He was a nerd who got the girl, and I liked Woody Allen then.
Well, he eventually got the girl that was his stepdaughter.
Yeah, exactly. Man, it's just what a mess world we live in.
Really. And it all started when Annie Hall beat Star Wars.
Yeah, that's when it all went wrong. No, I just, yeah.
What won over Saving Private Ryan? Wasn't it Shakespeare in Love? What won over Saving? No, it was oh God, Russell Crowe.
Gladiator?
No,
That was 2000.
no, Ron Howard movie where he was autistic. Was it Shakespeare in Love? Saving Private Ryan should have won Best Picture and it didn't. Dark Knight should have won Best Picture and it didn't.
Yeah.
Beautiful Mind, yeah, Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind.
Shakespeare in Love sucks. It's a bad movie.
Oh,
It's a terrible movie.
It's a stream. Yeah.
Beautiful Mind, yeah, Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind.
Shakespeare in Love sucks. It's a bad movie.
Oh,
It's
it's
a terrible movie.
It's a streaming movie before there was streaming.
Exactly.
No, Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan.
It wasn't. Russell Crowe was in A Beautiful Mind. Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Ron Howard directed it.
Anyways, a lot of the best picture winners end up being forgettable films.
Titanic won Best Picture. It should have won Best Picture as much as I don't. Love that movie.
Popular. It's popular.
It was insanely popular. It was a technical marvel, and it was in theaters for a long time. And girls were having watch parties. That's when they saw like the power of the female audience. When you do the right thing of having a woman use a man and then kill him at the end. Girls love that stuff.
Yep.
Tragic love story.
Tragic that he fell in love with her in the first place. He would have been fine if he hadn't.
And then she threw, a really expensive necklace into the ocean. Like,
Yeah, because she's a selfish bitch. I mean,
what
she's
about
a
her
villain.
kids?
Fuck her kids and her grandkids. I'm gonna throw it in there for a guy I led on and to death.
Just hung out with him for not even a week.
Not even a week.
God. Oh, that movie. God, it was like 6 months. It was #1 at the box office.
It was
Almost
insane.
6 months.
That's
It was
insane.
crazy.
The
It made
fervor
about
for that movie was insane.
It made about 20 million a week. Every
Wow.
week for 6 months.
And
It was weird.
what people forget is everybody thought it would be a flop. It was the most expensive movie ever made. It was late. It was running over budget. They had the Titanic built in Tijuana, so there's a bunch of people from San Diego who are extras in the movie, and they're telling us stories like how fucked up James Cameron is, like he's a complete asshole on the set. Everybody thought it would just absolutely fail, and it didn't. That's when you stop questioning James Cameron. Guy makes money. Hasn't made a good film since True Lies, but that's me. I love True Lies.
Nerdrock.com. Please subscribe.
Independent studies and media reports say hospital monopolies are marking up cancer drugs by 500%. That's not compassionate, it's ruthless. 500% markups on cancer drugs tell Congress to rein in the hospital monopolies.
Whether you're a professional auto technician or working in your home garage, Harbor Freight has the storage solutions you need to stay organized. From roll cabs and tool carts
So many police officers to withdraw. Now, Crockett's comments went on for another minute and a half. I won't bother with the rest of it, but I think you do get the gist by now. And look, no way to excuse this. These are grossly offensive remarks. They make me very relieved that soon Crockett will no longer be a member of Congress. Let's be clear about what she is doing. She's engaged in crude, race-based sectarianism. She feels more for Carmelo Anthony, the killer, because he's black like her, than she does for Austin Metcalf, the victim, because he's white. That's what she's doing here. She is bringing up wholly irrelevant points, like the supposed racism of police departments or people of certain races not feeling safe,
What's up,
in
folks?
order to justify
I'm here.
her own sectarianism, frankly, her own racism. We did not need to bring
Ask
race
me
into
questions if
this
you like.
whatsoever. It did not actually involve race. Jasmine Crockett made it about race. Shame on her. Those comments are truly vile. And I was surprised. I disagree with her. I've heard her say offensive things for which she's apologized. That really troubled me, what she had to say there. It doesn't matter that he only stabbed Austin Metcalf one time. It doesn't matter. It was a knife, and she calls it a tool. It was a knife. It matters that it was not self-defense because his life wasn't in any danger. And I think it's a terrible tragedy. I'm sure the Metcalf family would rather have their son back than have this kid go to jail, but he's dead, and there has to be accountability and justice for that. And there are conservatives who, think it should be life in prison automatic. I take no position on that. 35 years is a pretty lengthy sentence to hand down to someone who's 17. That seems perfectly within the realm of just outcome to me. So fine, but she thinks that I think that he should have gotten a slap on the wrist because, well, only stabbed him once. Insane to me.
I broke down how I felt yesterday about her comments yesterday that were lesser than this.
These were more.
I think she could, yes, I mean, they were lesser yesterday. She can make a point about, specifically in that clip, what she was referring to is that there's a tendency to believe that perhaps a Black person cannot be fearful of their life in certain situations, which is historical, right? It doesn't mean it's embedded in every judge, jury, or person that's not of color, but it seemed a little bit unbelievable and I watched all the court TV reporters because they didn't allow cameras in the courtroom. So I watched a lot of it yesterday, explain that, and defense attorney Mike Howard reportedly explained that Carmelo Anthony was 5'8", 140 pounds. Austin Metcalf was 6 foot, 225 pounds. So he's saying there's a 60 to 85 pound difference in people. And so do you think that some person could have been overpowering? Some person could have caused fear in Carmelo Anthony? Is that something that the jury didn't accept? And then there's a little bit of unpacking that I think Jasmine Crockett is trying to do when we talk about the jury. Now, I want to separate that specifically from how I feel about a kid being dead. This is a very racially charged situation just because of the extent of how people made it. But someone's son is dead and someone's son is in jail for 35 years. Both terrible for 17-year-olds that got into a disagreement that turned fatal. But when I look at this case and the jury selection, all the eligible, and this is the questions that I'm assuming that Jasmine Crockett is alluding to, other people online have alluded to, all the eligible Black jurors were dismissed from the case. And when the prosecutors and the judges explained why they allowed this, they said that the strikes were because some of these jurors were educators. And then there was one white educator that was allowed to stay on the jury. And so then that brings up the question of impartiality as we start to decide on jurors, and if it matters that there is a more diverse jury that understands these experiences of a Black person possibly being able to be scared by 4 people walking up to them. Why would we dismiss that as irrelevant if somebody is 80 possibly pounds bigger than someone else and tells you to conversations happening online, which I think that Jasmine Crockett is trying to bring into this conversation, which are just alleged that there are other videos out there. Well, the videos that were shown in court were described in great detail by Court TV and showed very blurry footage. They zoomed in from like a high level, so you couldn't make out anything, but the jurors understood who was who in the action, and you saw like a movement of the camera, and then you saw somebody running out, which was supposed to be Carmelo Anthony. There's no specific video saying that people were attacking him or he was directly
No
offending
evidence
any-
whatsoever.
Exactly. So this is just the
At
conversation
most, I've
about
heard a shove,
right. A shove happened.
but
So
you can't
this-
stab someone because they shoved.
exactly. So that's why I'm saying the family has an opportunity to appeal if new evidence comes about. But at the end of the day, it's not a good path to go down for Jasmine Crockett to try to say that, we need to somehow look at the Metcalf family and not allow them to be victims and not have empathy
This
for
is
them
weird. Like
in this
if
time.
if a white person stabs a black person, I don't say, oh, that's well, we didn't think about how they feel. Hang the man.
Well,
put him away.
well, the reason that I
why
say
are
this-
there people feeling solidary? Like I don't feel any race-based.
Well, that because our criminal justice system is specifically broken when it comes to self-defense. Just this month, in June specifically, and I looked this up to see how similar they might be, in South Carolina, a jury found a gas station owner that was Chinese not guilty after he fatally shot a black boy who didn't even rob his store. So he assumed that the black boy was taking waters. He wasn't. He just opened the refrigerator. He walked out. They got into an argument, and he shot him as the boy walked out. And they said that was self-defense in a South Carolina judicial system. And so
sounds wrong.
it
based on
sounds
the
wrong based.
facts you've related.
He argued with him. He chased him, and then he shot him. They said it was self-defense, and somehow that flew for a jury in South Carolina. So in the same month that we get this verdict of self-defense, it begs the question: when are people allowed to feel threatened, and what constitutes self-defense? And some of the biggest differences in these cases are race, right? So an Asian man can be scared of a black boy who's not stealing, but a black boy can't possibly be scared of white boys that are coming towards him. Like, what does this mean? None of this should justify
Black
death.
boys are rational to fear white boys, but Asians aren't rational to fear.
No, I'm saying that judicial systems should be similar.
Statistics won't bear that out.
No, I said the judicial system should be similar in the way that we examine it as people of color and people who are not of color that look at the outcomes, specifically in this month alone.
Well, if
and
I
you can understand how
If I looked at the
I
facts
could give
of
you
this
every
case and
detail you
thought
need.
it wasn't self-defense, and then I would just disagree with the outcome of it, without even bringing in any.
Right, so there's
Water.
people that are disagreeing of that, but I'm saying there's a young boy that's dead because an Asian man thought that he was robbing him and he was not. That was proven in the trial that he was not stealing anything.
Mhm.
And so people are saying there's a white boy that's dead, and other people are saying there's a black boy that may have been in fear of his life. We didn't see evidence of that, but the same way that you would contest that outcome, people are contesting this outcome, and that happens around trials all the time. So we have to allow dialogue without it getting into the territory that Jasmine Crockett got into, because there's a larger conversation about how the judicial system directly affects people of color. That's real and happened in this month alone. That shows dramatic differences when it comes down to the question of who can possibly be in fear for their life and who a jury believes to be fearful.
It would be better though if we just consider things on a case-by-case basis, like the case you brought up.
Yes.
If the facts are as you say they are, that sounds very wrong to me, and I would criticize the outcome. And then in this case, I think the outcome is correct because he stabbed him, and he was not in any reasonable fear for his life, and the person he stabbed didn't have any weapon, and the nature of their altercation had not escalated to anything approaching like a. I mean, if it was a very physical beating, then maybe it is proper to defend yourself like that, but that's not. There's no evidence whatsoever that that's the situation. So the outcome seems we can just consider like there's no reason to bring in the broader context. In fact, bringing in the broader context is harmful because then it apparently causes people to join some like what is my team or what is my side based on race that is very crude and very harmful, right? And harkens back to the sad history of the country.
Based on the trial that I heard and watched and the evidence that was presented to jurors, it appears that even if you are in a situation where there's a disagreement between teams, you can't take it upon yourself.
Right.
Even if there was remnants of threatening, even if you felt that there was some racial action that happened by coming into the tent, you can't kill someone. So I understand the actual law in this case, but I'm explaining why there are some emotional and racially charged feelings surrounding this, particularly because a similar case happened and the outcome is totally different when the person's color changes. And when all the jurors that were Black get removed from this trial, there's questions that are naturally going to be asked around this case.
Right. A little bit, I think it's connected. A lesson to just teenagers everywhere. Violence is not the way you see it on TV, even where people like beat each other and they're fine. You can punch someone in the face and kill them. You can trip someone and kill them. Don't physically aggress against people ever, period, no matter how angry you are, whatever. Solve it with words. Just walk away. Don't escalate to physical violence. A little bit of physical violence. Unlike in TV, where people are fine and shake off, huge beatings. You can very easily seriously harm someone and thus ruin your own life. So,
and that's to me, that's part of the sad part about it, is that these kids are 17 and now they're 19, but at the time they were 17, and 17-year-olds make dumb decisions, and unfortunately, one person is dead because of it, and one person's in jail for 35 years because of that.
Well, plus they also watch competitive
All right, another round
combat
of strikes
sports
against
where the
Iran
people
overnight,
are
where the
strong enough
ceasefire
to take a
stands this
beating.
morning. We'll be right back.
Of course, you don't see how
Welcome
they're
to the new generation of web creation.
in the hospital and
Your
undergoing
vision
physical
and
therapy for
technology
the next
works
3
as
months.
one,
But
so you can create the way you think. Wix. Real milk, real cream, no lactose. Discover the joy of lactate creamers.
Rare earth elements power modern life. America once led their production. Today, nearly all come from China. It doesn't have to be that way. Florida's phosphate, used to grow food, creates a...
Let's throw a penalty flag on the hospital monopolies and their abusive price increases.
Well, we're going to be attacking them very hard.
Resuming bombing?
Yeah, well, based on the helicopter, I guess we have the right to do that.
President Trump vowing to hit Iran hard after a helicopter was downed earlier this week near Oman.
CENTCOM confirms it launched a second round of attacks overnight after Iran fired back Wednesday, targeting Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan. Despite the back and forth, however, the ceasefire remains in place, at least in name. President Trump says the renewed strikes are an attempt to force Iran's hand at the negotiating table.
No, I've been working with Iran for a number of months, and they should sign the deal. It's a good deal. We're really close to the deal, but they keep tapping us along. They keep playing us for suckers.
But Iran is holding firm. Yesterday, Iran's envoy to the UN said the U.S. should refrain from threats of force if it wants a deal.
Man, this is a really tenuous ceasefire at this point. It's a ceasefire.
This is a sign-off.
Ceasefire
Ceasefire in name only.
Yeah.
This is not a ceasefire.
Well, we're not doing a broader conflict, but we are doing a little bit of trading of blows.
Trump said he's going to take Target Island. Does that mean boots on the ground take, or does that mean take it by air and lift it out of the place and bring it somewhere else? What does he mean by taking an island? Is he planning on putting boots on the ground? That's war.
What he means by it is Iran signed the deal now.
Okay.
That's what he means by it.
Okay, President Trump also in that meeting said that Iran's capabilities, I'm going to repeat something, I'm not repeating an old quote, I'm repeating a yesterday quote, is, quote, practically wiped out. We heard that already. A deal's coming up and their capabilities to strike anybody are practically wiped out. Well, we've heard that countless times. I think it's time to free the entire world of this economic stronghold. I was reading an article that 150 countries have gone up in oil prices, the highest one by 70% in places like
the
Vietnam, all
neocons
the way
wish
up
George
to like
Bush did
30%.
this
Throughout 150 countries, oil
20
prices
years
are
ago.
dramatically higher. And even
Neocons
India
wish
is
Bush did
pushing
this
back against the U.S.
20
because
years
one of
ago.
our strikes affected and hurt two of their people. And they're like, hey, can we get out of this crossfire while you're still going on
they
with
would be
Iran,
hard as a
supposed to be
missile
ceasefire, and now
if
our
George
people are injured.
Bush this.
And
George
so
W.
India
Bush
is begging
decided
us
to
to
do this
please come to the
20
table.
years ago, back
The
in
problem is that
2006.
both the U.S. and Iran are trying to hold
With
steady for a
pause.
deal that's more leaning in their
Pause.
favor, and now we're just at a standstill. So what's the plan here? Because like I said, the world is watching because the world is being strangled
Plan is
economically.
to prevent Iran from achieving a nuclear weapon. We are pursuing that goal on behalf of our allies and even nations that don't like us so much but still don't want a nuclear Iran. So I hope this deal comes to fruition. We heard from Sridhar Parsi, who we interviewed on the show a few days ago, some details he thinks potentially of the plan that would actually be, he said, are improvements from what the status quo was. It involves the unfreezing of more assets, but he thinks, and I agree, that Trump will be willing to do that, and that will be good to achieve. And I think the major question is whether people's egos get in the way or Israel's agenda for attacking Lebanon gets in the way. We can't have that. So Trump has to be firm with them that the most important thing is getting this done. The agreement is good. Trump will be able to make the case that this was worth it if they get this agreement, but they do need to get there. And close doesn't cut it.
And even if the deal looks exactly like Obama's JCPOA, that's okay at this point because
it's going to have strength.
Yeah, but even if it's the same, it can't be based on. It can't be
better.
I know. Sridhar Parsi explained what he thinks is better.
Yeah.
He thinks specifically that it's going to say no nuclear uranium stockpiling instead of Obama's, which was 3% nuclear uranium stockpiling, which powers the country. It's irrelevant. It's not something that they're going to use to make nuclear bombs. But okay, big difference. That's if he can just deal with the 3% or do any deal. It's better than watching Indian nationals get killed.
Sure,
People were killed in a recent strike. It's better. I mean, people are dying. It's better than watching 150 countries suffer economically. Oil is just one way, but several other ways at this point. It's better than holding everyone up who didn't want to be in this war to get a deal just to one up Obama. So the president has to think about what's his next strategic best step instead of going back and forth with Netanyahu and wasting time to figure out what he wants to do. The president has to figure out what he wants to do, and it doesn't have to be so much better than Obama's deal because the deal never needed to be torn to shreds. But since it already is and we're here now, if he just puts that deal back in place, that will stop them, like it has in the past, from having a nuclear weapon. And that will be good enough to allow the world to uncripple itself because of this war.
Yes, but we're so close. And
No. So close since April.
Yeah.
How many times is so close? What's so close?
I know, but it'll be worth it in the end. The administration says you just got to hold on a little longer, be a little bit more patient, and we'll get that deal. And we'll be glad that we have foreclosed their nuclear ambitions. Then the price of oil will go back down. Trump can sell that to the American people. Look what I was able to achieve, better than what Obama was able to achieve.
That's the one line he wants to say.
Well, it's a reasonable thing to work toward.
Yeah, but he also could have went from one deal, which had a sunset date, to another deal. A war wasn't necessary to get from A to B. The reason why Iran stockpiled uranium was because there was no deal in place. The international community and other members of the United Nations, our allies in NATO, did not want to get rid of that deal that we had in place with Iran. And so instead of going from deal to a new deal, we went from deal, broke it for no reason, war, to deal slightly similar with small differences.
Well, the situation changed in between the two administrations with Iranian proxy groups attacking Israel so savagely. So that changed the deal a little bit. That changed the situation and made it necessary to strike Iran, punish the Ayatollah for what he's done, for the terrorism he's supported, and do business with the next leaders of the regime and get a better deal in place that will stop their nuclear ambitions. So that's what we're working toward, and we hope we get there soon.
Do you have a timeline that you're like, enough is enough? Is there any date, or just if you're in December, you're saying the same thing, you're comfortable with that?
No, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. We should certainly, speed is of the essence. Speed is of the essence for Trump's entire political project.
But it's not, though, because the president in recent weeks has said he doesn't care about the midterm and he doesn't specifically think about America's finances when it comes to the Iran war. These are things that he said. I can't take Robbie's word for it. I have to take the president's word for it. You always ask me to take the president's word for it.
That it doesn't matter. He's not considering those things, and that's why it's very important for them to make a deal. But of course, he's thinking about those things.
So at this point, when you've tried every single threat from telling Americans you don't care about their finances to saying I'm going to obliterate the whole country on Truth Social, you would think that, okay, maybe we got to go for plan B.
What is plan B?
Stop continuously threatening them. Just make a deal that we can both agree to. No, we're threatening them every day to no end.
To the end of
killing Indian nationals.
We're not killing them. We didn't kill them.
They got killed in our strike. 3 nationals killed by a U.S. strike.
Not intentionally, I mean.
We bombed an oil tanker in the Gulf and they died.
We have no intention of harming Indian nationals. Innocent people get killed in war. It is unfortunate, which is why we want to bring this to an end as soon as possible.
All right, we'll be waiting up next. President Trump just signed a $70 billion immigration enforcement funding bill. But there are concerns that we all should be aware of. Stick around for that in my lens.
Lindsay, what's in your lens?
I wish it was the Knicks, but it's not. We'll talk about that later. For months, Americans have watched one immigration headline after another flash across their screens. Deportations, raids, U.S. citizens killed, protests, court battles. And now President Trump has signed a massive $70 billion funding bill for immigration enforcement agencies that'll last through the end of his presidency. The question isn't about whether immigration laws should be enforced. Every country has laws and every administration has a responsibility to uphold them. The question for me is, what are the guardrails around this new legislation? Well, critics are calling this legislation a blank check, and that's because it has little to no parameters on how the money is going to be spent. Take something both Republicans and Democrats have broadly supported: body cameras for ICE officers. In an era where police departments across the country have embraced body-worn cameras as a tool for transparency, accountability, and public trust, less than 25% of ICE's field workforce is currently equipped with those body cameras. That means only 3,000 out of an estimated 13,000 ICE field agents wear body cameras still today. Yet despite billions in new funding, there's no requirement in this new legislation that requires ICE officers to wear them.
I don't care.
Why not? If lawmakers agree that body cameras protect officers and civilians alike, why wasn't that one of the conditions attached to this unprecedented funding package? And Americans are clearly asking for more oversight. According to the latest NPR PBS News Marist poll, 65% of Americans say ICE has gone too far in its enforcement efforts. That's not a fringe opinion. That's nearly 2/3 of the country. Democrats spent months proposing reforms before funding negotiations eventually collapsed. Now, I'll admit, I wish the government did not shut down to have these conversations, but still, some common sense measures were proposed. Among them, requiring visible identification for agents, the body cameras I talked about, judicial warrants before entering private property, restriction on racial profiling, safeguards for detainees, restrictions on arrests at schools, churches, hospitals, and courthouses, and protections against the creation of databases that are tracking people engaged in First Amendment protected activities. Speaking of databases that track folks, recent reporting has raised questions about whether immigration officials are collecting and retaining information on protesters and observers who monitor ICE operations. Federal officials deny maintaining a dedicated database of protesters, but documents and lawsuits have fueled concerns about what information is being gathered, how long it's being stored, and how it could be used in the future. In fact, last week, during a congressional hearing, Secretary of Homeland Security Mark Wayne Mullins said his department had used facial recognition technology on people gathered outside of Delaney Hall Immigration Detention Center in New Jersey. Again, whether someone supports or opposes immigration enforcement is not really the point. The point is that when government expands power, oversight should certainly expand with it. Americans do not know what this new funding is even going to be used for. Mullen recently floated the idea of pulling Customs and Border Protection officers from international airports in sanctuary cities that refuse to cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. Now, that could create a massive disruption for international travelers and airport operations. White House Border Czar Tom Homan was asked specifically about this, and he appears to have a totally different plan.
And this idea of pulling customs agents from these major airports, I'm reminded of that line from the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, what's your goal here? To get everybody to hate you?
Well, look, I'm not going to, Secretary Mullen came up with the idea. I know he's getting a lot of support on the Hill. My idea is send more ICE agents because we're forced into the streets. Send more ICE agents to do that job.
Now, this week on Fox and Friends, Homan also warned he intends to send more ICE agents than you've ever seen in New York City after Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation creating additional protections against ICE enforcement actions in the state. And maybe that's exactly why states like New York are stepping in. When the federal government expands enforcement authority without clearly defining any limits, states often attempt to create their own limits. MS Now released a new report showing ICE detention of very young children has increased dramatically. Researchers found that on an average day, approximately 25 children aged 3 and younger are now being held in ICE custody. Whether Americans support that policy or not is another example of why many people are asking how this money will be spent and what safeguards will exist. A government asking for $70 billion and receiving it without meaningful new transparency measures should not expect the public to simply trust that everything's going to go according to plan. The American people, especially the 65% of the country who believe ICE has already gone too far, are not asking for open borders. They're simply asking for some oversight.
Yeah, no, actually, I have 4 kids. Hey!
Zero with an X.
You weren't a florist whose business was blooming yet, but Zero makes it easy to manage your books all in one place so you can flourish. Now, you're the kind of florist whose business is blooming.
From flu to ew, your air remembers. Unlike air fresheners, Lysol Air Sound.
We created a cocktail that requires 7 unique ingredients.
Well, I support some of these oversight measures. Get those body.
So why were none of them included in the legislation? You support some of them, and we've talked about the ones you support. You say Republicans
Get those
support
body
them.
cameras on
None of
all
them,
of them.
but legislation is that way for a reason. It's in writing, things are mandated, it's law. To just provide the funding with no parameters creates no law around what they must do.
I don't know. The officers should want to wear the body cameras. That way, there can be no there be false accusations of people's liberties being violated. Well, we'll check the footage, and so everyone should be on board with that. That is a welcome step, and I don't think I've heard the Republicans are not opposed to that. So I don't know why it's not in there. It should be.
That's not an appropriate response. And
My response is it should be there.
No, I know it's not an appropriate response from Republicans that have rallied on television saying, we agree with body cameras, so why was it not in the legislation? From the same Republicans that say, we don't want our data collected, right? There's been arguments about all the data collecting that people have done on President Trump and others. They don't mind if there's no parameters around data collection when at Delaney Hall in New Jersey, ICE was taking facial recognition of any protesters in the vicinity. They don't mind that they're collecting data of protesters in a potential database and that there's active lawsuits going on. They don't want to put any parameters in place around that. These are things that Republicans rail off about, but just conveniently have left out of this historic funding package of ICE that goes with no restrictions through 2029. This is absurd. I'm trying to make it make sense. Nobody said they don't want any immigration enforcement, and they're trying to make.
Not only did no
Democrats
one
say
say they
that.
don't want any immigration enforcement, the American people have spoken very clearly
That they do want
significant immigration enforcement. We who live in liberal enclaves like the city of Washington, D.C., and just cities in general, and are surrounded and are in media environments where there's disproportionately liberal people who are very pro-immigration, do not understand the extent to which public sentiment is against them. Public sentiment is for deporting, removing from the country every single person who entered the country illegally, regardless of whether they committed any other crime. That is what the public wants to do. So in liberal circles, the debate is between not really deporting anyone and deporting people who have committed other crimes. The American people want them all to go. And President Trump, now that's not possible to do.
Which poll are you referencing? Because the American people who also wanted them all to go also said the president, by putting ICE in American cities and 2 people dying, went too far. 65%, so according to NBC News Marist poll.
So
That's what I'm
people's
sourcing.
expectations.
So they want a blend of both, which would look like
people
some parameters around legislation regarding immigration.
What I'm saying is people's expectations are a little bit unrealistic, because to accomplish the mass deportation that they support requires a huge police presence all over the place, including in places where at the local level they're run by Democrats who don't want any enforcement at all, and it results in clashes like the ones we've seen. And so this is hard to deal with. Public opinion is, yes, deport them all. But no, not like that. Not if anyone gets inconvenienced ever. and there is a tension between those two things that the government is having some trouble sorting out. But the people want immigration enforcement. Tom Homan wants to send in more troops.
What you're saying is a talking point. Democrats laid out 10 bullet points that I read out in my lens about the type of enforcement they want to see.
Why don't they get their state and local leaders on board with doing any immigration enforcement whatsoever?
Democrats laid out 10 bullet points that I listed in my lens that they'd like to see accompanied with the enforcement. Republicans took on none of those parameters and just sent the money. That is not responding to the American people in the way that they've asked. If American people are conflicted and they want immigration reform, which they've said clearly by their response to Joe Biden, and if they're conflicted because they also think that President Trump's administration went too far in this first year and a half, then the balance of that would be putting some parameters in place around immigration so it still gets done.
No one likes seeing people harassed by law enforcement or
put it on the
killed
books.
inadvertently, and that was jarring and wrong, and it was wrong. But the state and local leadership is not coordinating with the federal law enforcement on an issue that is a matter of federal law. Immigration is a national policy.
If there is a policy and a legislation and law on the books surrounding what ICE officers can and can't do, and it's applied federally around the country, that's it. We have legislation that has parameters, it's done. Republicans decided to put no parameters, so now we just have money to ICE. That's it. So I don't get it. Why were there no guidelines? That's my big question. It's not that it shouldn't happen. There's not one oversight condition in there that makes sense aligning with anything that Democrats were calling for, simply because Democrats were calling for it and they don't want to agree with Democrats in any
I
way.
told you which conditions I support and which I do not.
Not even the body camera thing was in there. And if it's not in there, then we're going to stick at the same 25% of people with body cameras on them and not all the ICE agents as we requested, which has been very effective in local policing.
Everyone should have body cameras. No disagreement. I would encourage Republicans to make that a priority as well. Up next, Bill Gates told Congress on Wednesday that Jeffrey Epstein apparently attempted to blackmail him. We knew that, but he gave the details. We'll be right back.
Can't blackmail you. You didn't do anything wrong.
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates testified before Congress Wednesday on his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Gates has faced heavy scrutiny for spending so much time with Epstein, which he said was quite stupid of him.
According to the Wall Street Journal, the billionaire took questions from Congress about his affairs that he admitted to having with multiple Russian women during his marriage, and he told them that Epstein tried to leverage Gates' affairs against him. Gates said, quote, "Based on what has been released in the files, Epstein was working to use information about my infidelities, in addition to many lies that he layered on top, to pressure me to re-engage with him. He was unsuccessful in this effort, but it shows some of the ways he tried to leverage his interactions with me to further his agenda."
Despite his relationship with Epstein, Gates maintains he was not involved in or aware of any criminal conduct. So we did know this already from just reading the files themselves. They imply this very strongly because there's messages that Jeffrey Epstein wrote to himself about his knowledge of those affairs Bill Gates had and how he could use that. So confirmation of what we knew. Again, Bill Gates does not come across as a sympathetic figure very much because he was so proximate to Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, it is worth saying that there was an attempt to blackmail him.
Yes.
Essentially, which makes him a victim of Epstein in some sense, to be perfectly honest.
Well, this is a huge deal because
blackmailing people is a crime, to be clear.
Okay, and there's two theories, right? The one theory is that Epstein was just simply a wealthy sex offender who cultivated these powerful friendships, and he acted alone. The other theory is that Epstein deliberately collected information to blackmail people in the future and use it for influence. And so that ties to a lot of the questions surrounding Epstein and why he was collecting information and on whom. And if some of that information was damning and if it related to the same things and crimes that he committed with young girls. And so if he did collect information, that means there's collected information out there. People say there were videotapes from visits, right? These are all conversations that we had. This is why we need the rest of the files. Because people say there were recorded visits, there were contacts that he sent emails to himself. There's
care
more
about
out
Epstein.
there.
People have been seeing
Yeah, this particular one, but we know that he's a
screaming
blackmailer.
this stuff for the
And
last
this
2
is his
years.
behavior. So he didn't only do it once.
3
He
years.
probably did it multiple times. And if he blackmailed him based on sending himself emails and documenting the times that he cheated, he might have blackmailed others with videotapes when they came to his actual island and more information that would be even
But we've
more
gone
damning.
through tons of that stuff already.
Tons is
And
not enough.
let me finish. And the only thing we found that is this kind of blackmail is this Bill Gates thing. And this Bill Gates thing, to be crystal clear, because it's defamation otherwise, does not involve the things Jeffrey Epstein is accused of. These were consensual adults, extramarital, so immoral, but not illegal, not criminal, not underage at all, adult women. I would have expected to see, I know what you're going to say, it's in the rest of the files. Okay, we're going to see the rest of the files. We'll have to see them. All the good stuff, all the really juicy stuff is there. I just don't believe that at all.
So you believe he only blackmailed Bill Gates? That's the only person he blackmailed. That's what you really believe?
I won't.
And was he working on behalf of anyone? Why blackmail?
Show me some evidence.
That's what we're trying to get
I can't
to.
believe things for which there's no evidence. I believe he was blackmailing Bill Gates since Bill Gates said he was, and because I've read the emails showing he was doing it. I need freaking evidence to accuse people of sex crimes, because I'm not a maniac. I'm not someone who just like makes up things and says everyone I dislike was probably abusing children. It's a derangement that has taken hold of our entire politics. Graham Plattner, I just saw his first ad since becoming Senate candidate. He said Republican and Democratic elites are part of the Epstein class, and that's why they're out to get me. A man who is accused of violent and abusive behavior himself is trying to say people who want to hold him accountable, they raped children. This is such a lazy and disgusting smear. I am regretful that I ever participated in it or fell for it for even 5 seconds. The people who are still peddling this are some of the lowest scum I can possibly imagine. I am glad they're all being thrown out of Congress. I wish Ro Khanna would be next. I hope Graham Plattner doesn't set foot anywhere near Congress. Epstein class. It's a Hunter Biden, Candace Owens, the most deranged people on earth believe this. You're a sucker to fall for it at this point.
I can't believe your language is very aggressive. I can't believe you're talking about Thomas Massey in this way, somebody who you actually fall in line with in most ways, who's using reasonable questioning to try to figure out how Epstein and who else he
Because it's not, it's irrational.
It's questionable. He said he has more to release.
It's patently irrational.
Lindsay's an alien. Lindsay is from Mars.
Oh, stop comparing it to random things.
At what point does questioning cease to be reasonable when your question is answered over and over again by the available evidence? That's why I'm so frustrated. We asked for answers. We were given.
We got half of them.
We were given a lot of them. We'll get the other.
Are you okay with half your paycheck? No, never. No situation are you accepting half your paycheck. All right, so that no, it's not. It's literally like no one wants half of anything. Give everything that's required.
That's what she
we
said.
can get to this other topic. Meanwhile, it looks like 2 New York Times.
She don't want half of it. She wants the whole thing.
This month, we'll take a deeper look into the Trump administration's handling of the Epstein files.
In an article summarizing their findings,
I see where you at. That's why you got a
Trump
kid now.
wanted the whole situation to be buried
You
last
wanted the
year,
whole thing.
and that there was tension between him and Vice President J.D. Vance. Well, Trump made clear to his aides he had no interest in releasing anything related to Epstein. He
Lindsay
snapped
wants
at
the whole
anyone who
thing.
raised the issue, and his staff mostly learned to avoid the subject in front of him. Vance pressed repeatedly for the administration
my
to
water.
release
I'm shut up.
everything, even unsubstantiated material about Trump, arguing Congress would force the issue eventually, and that getting ahead of it would earn the White House credit for transparency. But the vice president's suggestions were far from popular with the core Trump team. Most of them went unheeded. So basically, Vance was saying that so many of us have promised to release everything, and Congress is going to force it to be released, so you should probably just go ahead and release it. And Trump, now that might have been correct political advice because of the double standard. It looks like they were all in favor of it, and then they were not in favor of it anymore. Trump has been completely consistent and right on this from the beginning, which is that you don't release just investigative files, just anonymous accusations by crazy people accumulated by the FBI over the years. You wouldn't just blast that out in any other context, so why would we do that here? This contains tons of false, defamatory information, and he was right and correct, and we should have listened.
Well, why we would do it here is because the law. The law requires.
Why we wouldn't have done that?
Yeah, it's done. It's done. And there's also several claims in this book.
Well, you live and you learn.
They say Dan Bondi, Dan Bongino, Kash Patel all were arguing. So now we're seeing some inner workings of what was happening around these Epstein files as we watch Pam Bondi point the blame to the FBI about the redactions or the over redacting or under redacting of victims. J.D. Vance and the president split on more issues every day, specifically now Epstein, but also we know there was reports about Iran. So now we're seeing that divide and maybe why Rubio's starting to be propelled up into the party. And so it's just very interesting that this all basically, the root of this is all Epstein. The president is so set on not releasing information that because his name's in there alongside several other names with several other egregious claims, so he might as well just put it all in and say, okay, we're all equal, equally offended here. But he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to protect himself. And so people would ask, to what end? Why can't you just release it? A lot of people's names were in the Epstein files. Several people did not want to be associated.
They're all being harmed as well, and we never should have done.
No, lots of people still have their jobs and still keep. Bill Gates is still a billionaire. What are we talking about? A lot of people kept on working. A couple of professors got fired by private organizations that are allowed to do that. A lot of people kept working, and the president would have kept his job. So why was he so adamant about not releasing it?
Because it's false information, and we shouldn't. The police should not release damaging information on people they don't like in order to discredit them. That would be like a Soviet tactic, actually. So we should not do this ever.
I just like to follow the laws of the land. The law is to release all the files.
Okay, but you keep saying that, but I'm not disagreeing. They passed the law, so they have to release all the files. I get that. I understand that. I agree with that. I'm saying they should not have passed this law. They should never do this again, and they should vote to stop releasing things. They're not going to do that. But yes, we have to comply with the law. You are correct. So if nothing changes, the rest of it has to come out when it can be made. When they can comb through it to make sure they're not releasing like literal, actual images of victims. They have to protect the victim. There's some tension here, right, between release everything but not the victim, Bill Gates is a victim in a different sense. He was blackmailed. So
some of the tension, the redactions were protecting billionaires instead of victims. Names were out that weren't supposed to be out. Billionaires' names were crossed out that were supposed to be open to the public. It's like, who made these decisions? Dan Bondi, Cash Patel, what's up? This is exactly what the bipartisan task force was asking.
No one is happy with this, and no one is going to be happy with this because they're seeking something that I don't believe is there. I'll be the first to admit I'm wrong when we get that evidence. I've lost faith. We will. Really have.
All right, the CEO of Democratic fundraising group Act Blue on Capitol Hill yesterday, her brief testimony coming up. Stay with us.
Independent studies and media reports say hospital monopolies are marking up cancer drugs by 500%. That's not compassionate. It's ruthless. 500% markups on cancer drugs tell Congress to rein in the hospital monopolies. Clean guaranteed, burn optional. Choose the intensity that's right for you.
Wash your mouth with new Listerine.
Wash your mouth.
DC has such a rich Native Washingtonian culture side by side with people from every part of the country, but also the rural neighborhood festivals and events. There is just so much to do in the city.
You shouldn't be trying to steal my house. I live here, please. Out. No, you don't.
And that's when the squatter standoff started.
I've seen every scam in the book.
I wish a squatter would come into my house. Waving the full. Are you hoes, Papa? Don't hit me no more.
Want to see what real food looks like? 5 hand-breaded chicken tenders, freshly made.
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully decline to answer this question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution. On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
I want to make sure I'm respectful. Is it Ms. Jones or Ms. Wallace-Jones?
On the advice of counsel.
That was good.
Act Blue CEO Regina Wallace-Jones refused to answer many of the questions put to her during the House Administration Committee's hearing yesterday. The hearing was regarding allegations that the Democrat-aligned fundraising organization funneled foreign campaign donations to Democratic candidates in federal
This is
elections.
why I say don't. I said this several years ago on this channel.
Political retribution
Don't-
and have called for similar investigations into Republican fundraising.
I don't give to charities, and I would tell people don't give to charities. Most of the money to go to charities do not actually go to help for the very cause for which that charity is
I
is
am going
purportedly
to
set up to help.
Even though I sure I
Most
don't
of it
agree
goes
with
to
ACLU
overhead
at all, and I have no idea
expenses
about if they're
and
I
paying
have no
the
idea. This is not my kind
paying
of
the employees
organization,
and CEO of
but
the
I will
nonprofit
applaud her
organization.
thing, which I always say to do.
Some of them just
No,
straight
thank you. I
take
decline
it
to
to the
answer any
bank.
questions
Like
on
I,
advice of
I
counsel.
think you're
That
a
is the
sucker.
correct
Too many
thing.
old people do
There's
it. My
even a
grandmother
slight chance
gives away
you are
money
the subject
to
of a
these
criminal inquiry.
charities.
You don't
She
even
doesn't think like
the name thing. She's right. Don't even give
she
them
doesn't
that. Don't say
think
anything.
critically about stuff
Even
like that
that
anyway. She always gives
could
away
be
money
used
to these
against
stupid
her in
organizations
some way that she
begging for
doesn't
money.
understand. I always
Like,
say this. It's not like Law and Order.
I wish I
or
had
Law and Order
throwaway
SVU,
money
they
I
bring
could
you
give
in
away
and
to
they
those
go,
scammy
This
organizations.
will go better for you if you cooperate.
Of course, if I did, I still wouldn't be giving to these fucking scammy ass
Okay,
organizations.
you'll put in a
I
good
would be,
word for me. I'll tell you. No,
you know,
shut up.
investing it
Stop.
or
No,
going
thank
on
you.
trips and
Attorney,
buying
please. So she was correct
more
about
fruit
that,
snacks.
and she did it with a smile on her face and a little bit of flourish.
But
Pursuant
yeah,
to my Fifth Amendment rights.
Yeah.
Correct, girl.
I'm sorry.
Blue has about
I can't tell
23,000
other people
donors,
not
and
to
it's-
donate
it's
to
smaller
not
funding for the
donate
full
to
Democratic Party,
charities.
but, compared to
I would
the
just say
bigger
you're a
engines, but
fucking
it still does
sucker
a
if you
lot
do.
for the party. And so
That's all.
to comb through it, and for them to
The only
allege that
charity
this is
I
political retribution is
the only
not that far fetched.
only thing I donate to is my alma mater. That is the only thing I would donate to is my alma mater. And I help actual people on the streets sometimes.
But for her
Or
to just
people
say,
that I
plead the
know.
fifth, she specifically went
I do
online
not
and
give
said,
give away to
pleading
charity
the fifth is not an
organizations.
admission of
I
guilt.
think you're a sucker if you do.
Just so we're clear, I was advised to do that by my lawyers, and I'm done with this. So
I
people
think if
should
you
not
give
assume
give
it's
to political action committees,
In a
you're also
legal
a sucker.
context, it is not admission of guilt. That cannot be used against you. In terms of the court of public opinion, people can form whatever impression they want.
I won't say
But
you're a sucker
I
if you
would
give
tell
to
people
a
that
a political candidate's
is a good
campaign
idea,
if
even if you're completely
and only if they are
because
willing
obviously the
to do
law that
something
they're alleging is
for
being broken
your
is that
contribution.
the Act Blue accepted some foreign donations.
Which is why people
So they have
donate
hard
to
proof of that,
political
then
candidates in
move
the first place
forward
because
with
they know they can
criminal
get something out of it
proceeding. If not, what are we
in the
talking
long,
about?
at least in the
Right?
long
She's like, I'm
term.
not about to engage with you in case there is, let's say there's one
Favorable,
person that ended up donating. Like, she doesn't want to get caught in this thing where she's
favorable
lying and
outcomes
not
when
even
it comes
supposed
to
to be lying.
certain
She literally accepted donations to propel candidates she likes
agendas.
and causes that she, or not she, Act Blue as an organization likes. And she's not going to
Turning a
get caught in
blind
a
eye to
political
certain
back and forth
things
between
that
the
are
parties as
unsavory,
somebody who's just trying to
possibly illegal.
organize for an
Whatever.
organization that does its job by
Those are
raising funds
tangible
for
benefits
candidates they
of
want to see move forward.
giving
Well,
away
do
one's
that.
money
And
to like
this is
a
key in this
politician.
situation. If you do have information that you want to relay to the government or
But
the law enforcement,
just giving
because
away money to a political
you're a
action
good citizen and
committee
you want them to have it, or
like her
or to a
the
charitable
Republicans,
organization, I
or you
think
think it's
you're a
good,
sucker.
it's good for your or whatever you think it's a good idea, you talk to the attorney first, and the attorney can relay the information on condition of immunity from prosecution for you. So, but if you've already said it, it's too late. Can't do anything. So you withhold that. You talk to a relevant expert attorney about what you should do in the situation. The attorneys can approach the government structured based on some kind of protective deal for you. Everybody knows what they're doing, does this. So if you don't do this, you're just disadvantaging yourself in the criminal justice system unnecessarily.
And do it with a smile, and it hits even harder.
Smile can't hurt. Well, that does it for us on Rising Live. Note that I will be out all next week, taking a trip, so you'll be without me, but I will be back, never fear, safe after that, later in the month. So look forward to seeing you all and telling you about my trip when I return. Bye-bye.
I need to take a trip.
The summer of play is at Main Event.
It is incredibly
New games.
Hi, I'm Cupid's Hypnosis, the rip your clothes off cologne. I was built around one thing. The Masters of the Universe. Mr. Lucario, the latest complaint
has come from the Free Agent Lifestyle channel ran by none other than Coach Greg Adams. He made a video called MTR, tries to rebrand Passport Bros in the Free Agent Lifestyle.
This already existed. In fact, a person like MTR, which I've always had a sense of him not giving my just due for a long time. In fact, I've always believed that it would be odd that I would cover a certain topic on my show, and then later that moment or later that afternoon, even before my live stream was off, a segment of my show would be featured on its main topic.
Coach Greg Adams claims that he never got his just due from mediocre tutorials and reviews. And he would notice that when he would do shows that this particular topic would end up on MTR's channel. Now, the way that I understand how Coach Greg Adams does his content is typically he goes live for, 4 to 5 hours at a time, something like that. And he will cover several topics in one clip. And it can be important that in those topics that something happens in a relative space that MTR could cover it. MTR would respond by saying this.
Why? Coach Greg Adams, why? CGA, why? What is it that you expect for me to do or expect for me to say? You do content with people, and if it's debates, I will react because I think that those are crazy interesting. When you did the debate with Hafiz, dog, what are you talking about? I'm so confused by this.
So MTR is shocked that Coach Greg Adams believes that MTR is stealing ideas from him or stealing concepts. Now, it is true that I've seen MTR react to Coach Greg Adams. I've seen him, for the most part, speak favorably towards him. The idea is that MTR is repackaging the free agent lifestyle or the Passport Bros movement, and it's not original. Now, it's important to know
it's not original. He's talking about something in 2026. People are talking about back in 2021,
course selling going on with all of these guys. Coach Greg Adams, Alpha Male Strategies has products, Steve Jadine has products, and Mr. Lucario has products. Now, so does MTR, and I believe he makes, probably maybe as much as them or more than them in what he's doing. And I noticed that with somebody like myself who doesn't really deal in the product per payment segment, I never really get so much criticism from these guys at all. But I have noticed that because MTR is so popular in this niche, and he gets a lot of financial support, even on live streams, that these other people may or may not feel that MTR is cutting into their money, and maybe they share audiences. I can't necessarily prove the motive, but I have saw that, and that is continuous, that anybody that I see criticizing MTR also has a sales funnel in which they would like to get clients into. So that's just one thing that I want to point out. I'm not saying that it's fact, but I have noticed this. Now, Coach Greg Adams would respond to MTR's response, because MTR made a video called Coach Greg Adams is mad at me. Coach Greg Adams would respond with a video called, damn, I told you the manosphere is a rest haven for... And this video was not just a diss to the real MTR, but also Rolo Tomasi. But there were a few shots at MTR that I thought were pretty interesting.
Where Rolo has licking MTR's one.
So here we have Coach Greg Adams talking about MTR has one testicle, which that was removed because of his cancer diagnosis. I don't know why this was important for Mr. Coach Greg Adams to bring this up, especially since Coach Greg Adams typically is a person that handles himself in frame and never is really emotional like this. But to just throw out an insult like one nut behavior, especially when MTR was really nice in his response, saying, hey man, if you felt like this, why couldn't we have a powwow? The only thing that he may have said that was disrespectful was like, listen, man, I don't even watch your channel as much, or don't watch your channel at all. That's the farthest that I seen MTR even go with it. He didn't call him any names. But then Coach Greg Adams would say this.
Take that L. He didn't fall on the sword of the notorious King of Kings. He didn't.
he went into his booty bandit Atlanta behavior.
He would basically call NTR gay, this Atlanta booty behavior. This is really sad because, I mean, Coach Greg Adams has the ability to convey his points without talking about stuff like this. Clearly, he's not. And when MTR is trying to respond to him in a rational way, here we got Coach Greg Adams taking it back to Long in the hood and trying to basically react emotionally to something he has the ability
He
to
does
not
that
act
often. When he gets mad,
about.
he
And now I want
responds
to get back to
emotionally,
some
like
more
he did
accusations
when he was
because it gets real.
debating.
There's
What's
millions
the
of
name?
things that I've said, millions, that people just run with it and forget to say, yeah, CGA. They'll give Orion the credit for saying all men pay when I had been saying it for years, and he had even been watching the show and super chatting, and then they'll give him the credit. No, he's a major philosopher today, and you're like, that's weird.
People steal his stuff and they run with it, right? And
I do get this feeling that there is a certain group of people that treat me as an outsider. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still an outsider when it comes to this. And people will just take my rebrand it and remix it. And I'm just like, what?
People treat him like an outsider. I thought all of this was funny because Coach Greg Adams don't want nobody taking his stuff, right? On May 17th, 2020, I was here in Uganda stuck in COVID. And for about 6 months to that time, I had been getting a lot of information that Coach Greg Adams was stealing my ideas. And so I still have that stream, even though I had privated the stream. But what I did is I wanted to prove to you that the same thing that Coach Greg Adams is saying about MTR, that I'm saying about him. So earlier, I was getting messages and they was talking about the business, this suck ass and Coach Greg Adams was stealing from your boy. Feel me? Because like, yo, man, Coach Greg Adams was stealing from your topics or whatever. So, you know, I'm like, all right, well, I'm on the same topic. They was like, what is about the same topic you talked about, right? So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. I'm subscribed to, whatever. You feel me? He got some good shit, you know. From Cali, you know, so, you know, Coach Greg Adams, you know, like, you know, he got a white boy audience, you know, he like similar to Donovan. I would say Stephon St. Scales, they got a multicultural audience, so, you know, I want to see the win. So when somebody hit me with the shit like, yo, man, they stealing your shit, I was like, nah, man, Coach Greg Adams, he ain't stealing my shit, man. He ain't stealing my shit. And they're like, nah, Shay, this stealing your mother shit. So I wasn't ignoring it. I was even getting, man, I was like, yo, stop hating on this. He just talking about the same shit I'm talking.
Bring a friend for free. Access over 2,800 clubs and recover in a Black Card spa. Get the Planet Fitness Black Card for $1 down, $29.99 a month.
Join Planet Fitness today and reach your fitness goals.
At Regeneron, science becomes medicine, and medicine becomes possibility. We are Regeneron.
Better sleep is simple. Just track your activity. Avoid blue light. Get adequate exposure to natural light. Or maybe you just need a little more from your...
I'm talking about. He's not stealing my shit. At first, I'm like, nah, man, he's not doing that. But then he sent me a video. Now, y'all know me, right? On my celebrity junks, I created the little dating music. You feel me? Where I use the females' voices and all that stuff. I'm the one y'all know. When I create some black YouTube, I do this where if you know it's mine, don't nobody do it but me. Like, there's certain that if I do it, you know it's my the Sunday Rumble type of hangout. I don't do my nobody else do it. You know, the Thirst Box, the Hit the Wall series. Nobody does it like me. So I go listen to this video. This bum ass is doing my dating music, playing the same similar music to what Dima played, stealing the female, and he had no talent. Like Coach Greg Adams, man. I'll just be honest, bro. You an Oreo. Like, let's just keep it real, man. You got good, but you a white boy, okay? You a white motherfucker in a body. So I asked actually saw him. Y'all know I got the dating music from Dima and how I do my stuff. I mean, not to be mean to Coach Greg Adams, but he's not a trend-setting content creator. He doesn't have great production. He doesn't have elite stuff. So when I saw him stealing my stuff, I was like, wow. And guess what? He didn't give me any credit for it. Now, let me tell you exactly what happened before I continue going on with this stream. A whole bunch of you dudes were saying I was hating on the coach. I was doing this and that, and then what I did was I changed his name from Coach Greg Adams to Poach Greg Adams. They got these MGTOW or dating channels and like that. What you must do is to bring your mother ass to the black sectors. You get all the game from the black sectors. You steal all the from because you must really ain't got no game. Then you go over there and repackage that to the white boy. Now, the reality is Coach Greg Adams has always had an international fan base, not just black, multiple people, okay? I said he was coming over to the black sector. He see what we would do and then repackage it to the white guys because he knew that they would never be over in our algorithm. Now, let me just tell you what happened with this whole beef with Coach Greg Adams. It was mostly one-sided. It was me roasting him, saying that he was a no talent. He was a thief, which when it came to me, he was. But it's all good. Like, I'm not even tripping. Now he's over here having like a midlife crisis on this Instagram thing. And I mean, it's kudos and all of that. Like, he's over here showing all these young chicks that he's dealing with and everything. I mean, it just looks, for me, it just looks terrible. But I went over there one day. I'm not a hater. I went over there and I commented on his Instagram. Damn, bro. Even I can't hate on this. This wasn't really like a sneak diss or whatever, but like, man, you're having a midlife crisis on the internet trying to show everybody that you still got everything. But that's cool. I mean, anybody can go overseas and have all these checks and post it and act like you're a boss dude. But I was doing that because everybody was like, look, man, you should just give Coach Greg Adams a pass. You know what I'm saying? Y'all should collaborate. I went over there and showed bro some love. I went over there and showed him some love. Now he's over here acting like somebody steal from him, and don't nobody steal like Coach Greg Adams steals. Again, I'm the one that started calling him Poach Adams, and I was so mad I had to get my roast on. I'm all in the chat rooms. I see all the white boys in there. Oh man, LOL, Coach is so funny. Not that I want them up as fans, because I don't. All my black, but you ain't no coach. You should be referee Adams, man. What kind of coach are you? You a coach that steals playbooks, man. Like,
see, you talking like this makes me think. This is why a lot of people don't believe you really went through med school. You do not sound like someone who finished med school.
Number one, he might have came up with certain
Not to mention you had to go all the way overseas to a
certain little talking points and stuff like
janky
that. I
ass
didn't hear him
Eastern European country to go to med
for
school.
taking certain lingos.
And
And
then you
let's
didn't
say
even
MTR
practice
did take
after
stuff.
you
And it
finished.
happens in the space. Let's say he took it and didn't give me no credit. Wanna know what? Coach Greg Adams took my stuff and ain't give me no
Then
credit.
if you're pro black
I
and
worked
black,
his
why
ass
not
for
go
6 years.
to med
And what's
school
happening right now, man, is Coach
in
Greg
Africa
Adams is
or the
delusional.
Caribbean,
Number one,
Cuba?
he's talking about he's the greatest dude in this sector. I heard him saying some stuff like that. He's all, man,
Most of the
Coach
poor
Greg
people in
Adams not
Cuba
even a
are
talented creator, to be honest.
Afro-Cuban, black.
He goes live. He has some
Go
pretty
to
interesting
they
things.
you can go there for
Like I
med school
said,
for free. You just
largely
gotta
he goes
give a
live,
few
cuts up his
years
streams,
of
puts it up there.
community
He's
service
talking about the
and
fact that he feels that people treat
being a
him like an
doctor
outsider.
in Cuba.
Well, that's what happens when you're a black dude trying to fit into a white space. That's what you get. You was over there trying to be over there cool with Rolo Tomasi and all them other cats, and now they don't mess with you no more. And now you over there by yourself. I mean, hey, that's on you. But for you to come after an MTR for no reason, I mean, this is the most feminine thing I've ever seen this dude do. And the one thing I could never say about him before was like, I've never seen Coach Greg Adams acting like a single mother. But
Damn.
I'm going to be honest, man. He's acting very
I still like
female-like.
Coach Greg Adams.
It's
I
like
don't know
he's
what to say
twerking
about
right
that.
now on a period. And
And
again,
OJ's cool
everybody
too,
can have a bad
despite
day,
all his
but what
bullshit.
this screams to me is here's a younger guy that follows the rules on YouTube, doesn't get demonetized. You got Coach Greg Adams, who's never really upgraded his stuff. He's been somewhere in the corner on the stream, 5-6 hours a day, pressing little certain things on the soundboard. Never paid anybody in the business. Content never really got better. So people just leave and they go elsewhere. And then when they go to somebody like MTR, then a lot of the guys out there get upset. All the content creators that have a problem, for the most part, I would say outside of AMS, none of those guys ever really stepped up their stuff. And it's not his fault that you're not good on the platform. I mean, largely it's your fault. Because again, you have a personal problem because all of y'all are fishing for these same people and y'all all trying to sell them courses and, you know, trying to compete for this male audience. And that's on you if you're not lit. I mean, and especially if you steal, nobody steals like Poach Adams. I'm sorry, bro. Even the other day, I did a video called Strippers' Worst Nightmares Just Came True. In that video, I credited Coach Greg Adams for some of the thinking in that video. I actually believe somebody sent me the video. I got the video idea from him, and I credited him inside of the video. When Coach Greg Adams steals from people, he don't ever do that. He don't ever do that. Like, so the thing is, bro, this is jealousy. You, number one, you're a hypocrite. Number two, largely you suck. I'm just going to be real as a content creator. You're not that good anymore, okay? That's just those are facts. You're terrible. Number three, having a midlife crisis on Instagram, trying to prove that you still got it with all of these international thoughts like you a player or something, that's lame, bro. Like, come on, man. That's something a 30-year-old dude would do, a 20-year-old dude would do. Not somebody over there with the snow white beard looking like Methuselah in the Bible, acting like you still got it. What are you trying to sell? It's like these dudes are so pressed for the cash, they trying to do anything to bubble. And he just looked like a mark. I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't have no problem with him. He looks like a buster, flat out. I mean, we both from Cali. What he's doing right now is some sucker stuff. He's being a buster. He's acting like a loser. It's very female. It's very female friendly. And I don't have no personal issues with the dude, but he's a mark right now. And maybe he can get himself together. Stop acting all sassy and understand, man, you got to stop twerking on here, bro. Like, real talk. I got over you stealing my stuff. Get over this. If you say he did it, he said he didn't do it. So I'm going to leave it alone. But I know for a fact you stole from me. So, guys, what do you think? It's your boy, J.A.C. Jackson. Back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Jump. Which is for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.
Tech that lets you be you, how it should be. The Hyundai Tucson. Now, get 0.99% APR for 60 months on the Hyundai Tucson. Visit your local Hyundai dealer today.
When I was 16, I was focusing on becoming a good open source developer. I love the fact
There's a new movement sparking online these days where Black people are calling for all other Black people to stop shopping at, patronizing, supporting
this is
all
really
Asian
stupid.
businesses.
It doesn't make any
yes,
sense.
it's ridiculous.
Stupid.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, you better.
It's pretty dumb.
Yeah, you better.
It's like you're reacting out of
Guys, before we get
emotion,
into today's video,
not
please
out of
like and
sense of
subscribe. Today we're
racial
going to talk about
solidarity.
a new boycott movement that is sparking online among Black people, and it's all due to the Rick Chow trial. Now, if you're not familiar, Rick Chow is a man who was just acquitted on murder charges in the killing of a 14-year-old Black boy by the name of Cyrus Carmack Belton. Now, he believes Cyrus was shoplifting from his store, a confrontation ensued, and he ended up shooting this 14-year-old Black boy, and that kid lost his life. I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of that trial. If you want me to, maybe I can do a separate video on it, but just know that Rick Chow was found not guilty. This has really upset certain members of the Black community. They're saying this trial is an indicator of the systemic racism that is so present in our society and in our criminal justice system, and that Rick Chow deserves to be in prison for life. They're even going further than that. I'm going to show you a TikTok where a Black woman says that Rick Chow's son should now be murdered because of what happened with Cyrus Carmack Belton.
Unpopular opinion, we need to get that shit back in blood, and I say a son for a son.
By the way, that has over 30,000 likes on it, and for some reason is still allowed to be up on TikTok. Yet if I make a video saying that men are men and women are women, that gets taken down in, I shit you not, minutes. Okay, but if it's not calling for the literal murder of this guy's son after he's gone through our court system, Black people are calling for the boycotting of all Asian businesses. You heard me right. All Asian businesses, because this guy happens to be Asian American.
If y'all really want to show people that y'all care about Cyrus, don't walk into no more nail salons. Don't walk into the beauty supply store. Get whatever you need off of Amazon. Do not shop at these Asian liquor stores. Halt all your business with Asian businesses. We need to really start showing that we not y'all if y'all not us. This man just got non-guilty for putting a bullet in a young black man's back over water he didn't steal. Do not walk into any Asian businesses for the next 60 days. Let's try to do that. Try to go to the Russians. Try to go somewhere else to get your nails done. Go get your liquor somewhere else. Do not support any Asian businesses this month. If we stick together, we can show that our matters. Because I don't understand what.
It's a good thing she got cut off there. I don't know what happened. She didn't finish the video, but you gotta really walk me through what I just heard. Stop getting y'all liquor at Asian businesses. So first of all, priorities. Our priorities are a little bit out of whack. Then she puts together the arbitrary number of 60 days.
Well,
so
look
I guess
at her. She
after
looks
60 days, you
stupid.
can start
She
supporting
looks as
these
stupid as
Asian
she
businesses
sounds.
that you have been patronizing
She
in
got the
your
septum ring
community.
piercing.
You can just go from there. Also, we're going to
Her face
boycott
looks like
all
something that was
Asians
stretched
because of
out
one
using AI.
Asian American guy who was born in Hong Kong. So we're just going to punish the whole continent of Asia.
Right. So we're gonna punish every single Asian for what one Asian man
Okay, guys,
did.
imagine if we did that to black people. If every time a black person
Exactly,
went
and that's the exact same point I made on my YouTube short. Is that every time a black person commits a crime, imagine if all non-black people said the same shit that we're saying. Like, we tired of these fucking pookies. We should just stop dealing with all black people whatsoever. We would hate that, and we be yelling racism all day long, which we would be correct. But we don't see how we're doing that with the Asians, and it's just a classic example of the fundamental attribution error. Look it up.
and murdered somebody of a different race out here in these streets, we just boycotted all black businesses for 60 days. Y'all would be boycotted forever. And that's not just to attack black people. Everybody would be boycotted all the time. You might as well stay home. Yeah, no, guys, you could catch me at H Mart. That's where I'll be.
Exactly. I'm still gonna be at H Mart. Still gonna be hanging at my homeboy's store. I'm still going to get my Chinese takeout. I'm still going to get going to the little Vietnamese pho shop to get me some pho soup. Still headed to this all-you-can-eat grill and buffet. All-you-can-eat seafood and buffet with my homeboy Marcus whenever he's free. I'm not gonna boycott every Asian business because of that. Besides that, my wife is Asian. I frequently travel to Asian countries, so I'm not. So I mean, I shouldn't go to these Asian countries then, because literally everything I would frequent in an Asian country would be an Asian-owned business, literally. So what am I supposed to do? Like eat MRE, like pack MREs when I go overseas to these Asian countries? Just pack MREs and never eat at any establishment. Like what are we? Oh God, it's so fucking stupid. And like I said, every time these little stupid ass YNs commit a crime against a non-black person, we get mad as shit when white nationals like Nick Fuentes say they want to move away and separate themselves from every black person, or when the guy 2 years ago decided he wanted to set up a whole whites only town away from all non-black people, and people were talking about how extreme that was, which it is. But black people don't see how it's extreme to say we're going to punish an entire continent of people for what one person did and got away with. The energy be better spent lobbying local politicians to get Rick Chow deported out of the country than to say we're gonna just stop supporting all businesses. And then some people will point out, well, yeah, but other Asian business owners have done stuff like that too. Again, these are case by case basis sort of things. So if another Asian entrepreneur or business owner does something that's racist or problematic or commits a crime that goes unpunished, again, on a case by case basis, then you also pursue justice with these folks as well. Say, this person doesn't deserve to be in our country, or say this person is an American national. Say, well, we're going to push to have his business boycotted, but we're not going to say we're going to boycott all Asians. Besides that, not every Asian was involved. Rick Chow is what, Chinese person of Hong Kong origin. We don't need to. We don't need to boycott all Asians. We don't need to boycott all East Asians. We don't have to boycott all Chinese, and we don't have to boycott all Hong Kongese. Just him. Just him. That's all. That's all. Stupid.
What? Also, we're not accounting for the recent uptick in the amount of black people that love anime. I'm watching you.
On top of that, like I said, then it was like the whole black fatigue thing. Like people were so, oh, that's so racist. Even one of my friends was like, oh, black fatigue is wrong. This is just. I was like, no, I get it. I have black fatigue too because I'm tired of YNs. I'm tired of belligerent ass black women. I'm tired of the toxic black community. I'm tired of black identity politics being pushed on people. Um, so I understood black fatigue, regardless of its origins. um, so I don't see how black people don't see. Well, a lot of people in the black community just aren't that smart.
Guys, I don't think you'll be able to do it. All jokes aside, let's watch some more videos of this.
And again, like she just made the joke, all these dudes that like anime, so all these little weird ass weeaboos in the black community, you know who I'm talking about. The black dudes that don't just like anime. I like anime, but the ones who take it a step too far, like these motherfuckers wear Naruto headbands. They pretend that they're actually Japanese, and they think they're more authentically imbibing in Japanese culture, despite the fact they never even fucking been to Japan. I've been to fucking Japan. But despite the fact they never been to Japan, these motherfuckers will watch all that anime and subtitles because they think it gives them a more authentic experience, even to the point where they learn a few Japanese words or phrases from these anime. And by the way, my shout out to the University of Maryland. They actually taught a great course on Japanese through anime. Like every little weeaboo would love to take that class if they were smart enough to get into our school in the first place. But in any case, so 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 these niggas gonna stop eating Chinese takeout, watching anime, buying stuff that says made in China, made in Taiwan, made in the Philippines, made in Vietnam, made in Thailand, made in Cambodia. So, because look at, yeah, you might want to check your all your little clothing and shoes and fabrics, your food, your tech, your electronics. So all these things are made over. Most of these things are made overseas in Asia because, around somewhere between the 90s and the 2000s, a lot of manufacturing went overseas because it was cheaper. Blame that globalization on the Clintons, but whatever. We don't have to get into all that. But so, are you going to refrain from buying all the stuff that's made in Asian countries, which is a lot of shit. All the shit that's made overseas in Asian countries. All the stuff that you enjoy here that is Asian derived, like anime, or Chinese takeout. Or certain, or certain foods like no. So what? No more Fuji apples. You're not gonna eat Fuji apples or mandarin oranges. No more Pokemon. I don't know. It's stupid. It's just fucking stupid.
Parent boycott that's going to be taking place. This next one says, speak with your dollar. As somebody who has always done her own nails, I know it's possible to never take money to those people's nail salons ever again. All right, I don't know if we're really thinking this through.
Hey, yeah, women, y'all gonna abandon the weaves and the sandals, the nails. Like she's bringing up, y'all gonna stop getting your nails did. The weaves, the lashes.
Whatsoever. I'm just going to go ahead and point it out. For the most part, nail salons here in the United States are owned by Vietnamese people.
Yep.
Rick Chow's
My
from Hong
Vietnamese
Kong.
friend told
Do
me
you
that
guys
too.
care? I don't know. At this point, it just seems like you're using this as an excuse to just not support Asians. So I feel like there needs to be a little bit of introspection as to why that is, because it's a really weird jump to go from one murder trial with one Asian man to I'm going to stop supporting all Asians. Totally. And there are people, I guess, keeping the community in check on this one. This Black lady is actually going to Asian businesses, walking in and checking if Black people are still supporting them.
Any Asians watching this, I'm supporting you guys. What's up? And I'm not even asking for a discount. I'm just saying, hey, what's up? I'm still supporting you guys. I still rock with you. You rock with me.
Yeah, our sisters are still supporting these Asian businesses. Look at them in here.
And you know these bitches can't go without their weaves and lashes.
Ain't nobody learned. They still in here supporting them.
Because they can't fathom just letting their hair go natural, which is what men have been asking for like the last 25 years.
Yeah,
if not longer. But I know at least since when I was in college, we was talking about just sisters were way better with just going natural. But whatever.
Nobody's giving y'all business, so yeah, it's two of our sisters still giving business. 3 of our sisters still giving the Asians business. Yeah. They don't learn.
And I'm definitely going to the Asian massage spa.
I would think that a homeless schizophrenic lady just walked into the store and making a random video. Actually, what are you doing? You know, the vast majority of people do not allow random news stories and random murder trials to dictate the way in which they move through the world and what businesses they support. They go to good businesses
but it's because
to get good
people
service,
are virtue
and they
signaling.
don't care the race of the people that they're getting
That's
that
why
business
Amala.
from. I think they just care whether or not
Shout out
they
to
are
her.
good,
Amala
reputable people. Period. These are the very same people that will tell you the Black
at
community and Black
Panovi.
people
I hope
are
I'm
not
saying
a
her name
monolith.
correctly.
We don't
Go check out
move
her
as one,
YouTube
but they
channel.
expect you to move as one when a murder trial like this
Yeah,
takes
a lot of
place.
people just saying this stuff
And
because
these
they're
very
virtue
same people who
signaling.
say
That's
they are
all.
not a monolith
They're
are
virtue
now
signaling.
treating all Asians, really let that sink in, all Asians like a monolith because of the actions of one man. And that one man went through a fair trial and was found not guilty. Imagine if all white people were like, yeah, you know, I haven't supported a Black business since 1995 after that OJ trial.
Right.
Huh?
Exactly.
And of course, we can't talk about this without talking about hashtag stop
And
Asian
when you
hate.
do
Remember
hear
when
someone
that was
say
taking
something like
over the
that, you
nation?
realize
Everybody
how
was posting their
extreme it is
infographics
and
with
absurd.
hashtag stop Asian hate. But when we actually flipped over that rock, we found that Black people were disproportionately, when compared to their population size, attacking Asian people. You literally had Black men going out in the street, finding random old Asian ladies and old Asian men and knocking their lights out. Some of them died. Did Asians all of a sudden stop supporting all Black businesses?
Nope.
Or stop running their nail salon to do the
Nope.
nails of Black
Yes, a
people?
lot of
or
Black
stop
people were
running
involved
their
with the
hair
Asian
stores
hate
to sell you guys
back during the
products?
pandemic.
No. Did Asians stop supporting Black people after everything that happened during the LA riots? No. But let
Yeah, no, actually, I have 4 kids. Right.
David Yerman Curb Chain Collection.
Hey, Uncle Number One, why aren't we counting anymore?
Well, long ago, CERT invented the perfect sleeper mattress.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
It says the all-new Perfect Sleeper with a Q4 support system has 4-in-1 perfectly interlinked coils that help relieve aches and back pain for perfect sleep night after night.
We'll never get counted again.
Nope. Have you considered a day job?
Serta, we make the world's best mattress.
Bite-sized sustained energy to raise your bar. New Clip Energy Bites.
That takes the fun
My
out of
partner
it.
shouted, "Our checking account is at zero. We're out of
Like there's
business."
a bar.
I told him, my Irish grandmother had a toast.
But let's move on and hear more. See if we find an argument that sticks on this one.
I worked for those Asian businesses you guys are boycotting, and I say, go do it. Not even getting into how I was fired over not being suitable for a receptionist job, even though I have community organizing underneath my belt. The
nose
person who
piercing
trained me said that mixed
makes me
people
think
and
you
white
were probably
skins
a
have
problem.
a different culture altogether from darker black people. And when I said,
I almost worked for Asian-owned business. The only reason I didn't is because they wanted me to vape, to sell vape. Like, yeah, I'm not smoking vape. That was my homeboy, but I was like, nah, I'm not smoking vape. I'm sorry, can't do that.
If the Asians were racist or hated black people, why'd they hire you to work at their business in the first place? Let's make that make sense. And if you got fired, it's probably because you were doing inadequate work. That's okay, or at least work that they did not
Like, you got a
appreciate
double
or
nose
want
piercing.
around.
Yeah, you're
That's
probably a
okay.
problem.
And black people will be the first ones to tell you that mixed people and dark-skinned black people have a differing experience. In fact, they're very vocal about that separation within the black community, and they'll tell you straight to your face. But when an Asian sort of reiterates what is said by the black community all the time, that's problematic. Now, of course, there are many people of Asian descent who are calling this out and saying this makes absolutely no sense to be boycotting us and it's ridiculous, but there are some Asians who are actually supporting this movement. Let's hear from one before we close out.
People are boycotting Asian businesses. If that's what it takes to wake our community up, more power to them. And I really need Asians to wake the fuck up. Because I'm tired of getting on this app every business week and having to talk about some fuck shit that some Asian person is doing to black people. There's so many other things I want to talk about on this app. Domestic violence prevention, mosquito brains, because that's what I got my PhD in. My writing process and how I write sci-fi novels and how I write, yes, the small business that I run because I write the sci-fi novels. But instead, no, I always see some Asian doing some model minority stuff and then I feel a moral imperative to talk about it because it ends up in the death of innocent people like Cyrus Carmack Belton. I am sick of watching our country slide into fascism and watch the Asian vote be split because so many of us want to ally ourselves with our oppressors. And in my personal life, I'm tired of not being able to trust Asian people that I meet because so many of you would throw Asian people under the bus for white acceptance. And on top of that, a number of my friends are black people, and I don't want to have anybody in my life.
She's one of those
who's
liberal
unsafe
Asian
for my
feminist type
friends.
bitches.
Model minority Asians are unsafe for Asians to be around as well, and they are potentially lethal for black people. I don't want that in my community. Get that out. And if these Asian stores close, like the ones that opened up in black neighborhoods, and then complain about black people being there and do racist things to them and profile them, let the stores close.
Yeah, I kinda
Y'all
get
don't
that
deserve
part.
to be there. Have some respect.
How you gonna be lit-
I know Asian people love money, so black
Business
people
in the black
withholding their
community
dollars and
and
they
hate the
actually
black
get through
people
some of
that
your
you
thick skulls.
are to patrons.
Ooh, we got Asian on Asian hate crimes taking place in that
But
video. And
this
it's
goes
all
to show what I was telling my friend Quest years ago, both offline and here on my videos, that there's so much dissension within the Asian community. He's like, well, I can only speak on what's going on in the black community. Mind you, this was him 10 years ago. He's way more mature now, but he used to say some pretty juvenile shit 10, 11 years ago. And he'd be like, well, I can only talk about what's going on in the black community, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but you need to have a wider perspective. Now that he's traveled more, he's got more education under his belt, way more than me, actually. He has his doctorate. He doesn't say those juvenile things anymore, and things that I've checked him on, he's been honest and say, yeah, I was wrong. And I commend him for the fact that he has the intellectual humility to say, yeah, those things I said back in the past were wrong. That shows growth, that shows intellectual humility, and it shows that he has the capacity for self-reflection, which is important. All these things are important in critical thinking skills, which a lot of people lack. So I definitely want to give him big ups for that. But just but to go back to what I was saying about him back then, and he was like, "Well, I can only speak for the black community." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you need to widen your perspective." So I was like, a lot of the stuff that we complain about within the black community is not sui generis, which is a fancy Latin word for meaning unique. Um, uh, I was like, the Asian community is very fractured, but we don't see that because unless you are friends with these folks or have lived amongst them, you wouldn't know that there's so much division with them. You wouldn't know that there's division within the Chinese diaspora between, like, say, Chinese and Taiwanese, or Chinese mainlanders and Hong Konganese, or these mainlanders and Chinese who've immigrated to places like Malaysia and Indonesia and Singapore, um, or the or how Chinese um, Chinese nationals view Chinese Americans, and vice versa. um, and that's just within Chinese. The, the, then you talk about the different national rivalries between, like, say, Koreans and Chinese, or Koreans and Japanese, or Vietnamese and Chinese, or Thais and Cambodian, or the difference in just Chinese Americans and how they view their community through different political lenses. Like with her, this woman's obviously left winged, compared to the people she's calling model minority Asians, which will typically be the ones who fall more on the political right. So yeah, it's fractured.
130,000 likes on it, meaning this is somehow resonating with people. That if you are an Asian who disagrees with what she just said in the video, or disagrees with her political point of view, or how you move through society, you are in fact just vying for white acceptance. You're trying to be a
Which is,
model
yeah, and I
minority.
disagree with her on that. So basically, she's saying if you disagree with her, you're just vying for white acceptance. And again, that's the same thing that pro blacks do to people who are right, who are more on the political right in the black community. Like, pro blacks will say, well, if you disagree with them, that just means you are a sellout and you trying to get white acceptance. I literally had someone who I considered a friend just all out insult me, and it hurt a little bit because I thought he and I were like cool, but he had no problem personally attacking me just because I disagreed with him politically. I mean, he even went so much to say that people who disagree with him politically aren't just disagreeing with him politically; they're fundamentally just bad people who are immoral. And like I said, so same Asian, this happens in the Asian community too. Like, well, people where Asians will say, well, if you don't agree with their left wing views, because they confuse a lot. This is the trap that happens, and I blame this on liberal Democrats, especially for putting this brainwashing into ethnic minority groups like Black people and Asian people specifically. Um, that they've made it like within, especially within the Black community, but you can tell it does even happens in the Asian community, just less more of it. But I mean, less of it. Sorry, less more of it. You know what I'm saying. But anyway, like in the Black community, like if you are not a Democrat plantation bro, like if you don't co-sign everything that Democrats say, it's not you're just not merely a person who disagrees with you know uh, American liberalism or democratic or uh, the democratic um, political view. You're also a self-hating Black person who's vying for white acceptance. Because every time my friend Bomani disagreed with me, he was like, "Oh, you just vying for white acceptance" on my Facebook, and I'm like, "Dude, how am I vying for white acceptance when like 99% of 99% of the people whom I friended on my Facebook are black. On top of that, like it's not a my unlike his unlike his page, which is public, mine was private. Like only people who see my stuff are my friends, except for when one of my friends will ask me to make one of my posts public. Other than that, all of my stuff was private to my friends, who again 99% of them were black. Like I can literally I can literally like um number the amount of white people who followed me on my Facebook. One being my good friend Claude, um, and most of the other ones I haven't talked to in like over a decade, and so they're still Facebook friends, but I literally haven't talked to them in over a decade. And like I said, so if I added all of them together, it would be about 10 out of like 1,000 Facebook friends that I have on there. Like, so, but yeah, so just like black people would do that, like, oh, you just vying for white acceptance when you say something that goes against their liberal viewpoints or progressive viewpoints. They try to they try to portray their liberal and progressive viewpoints as the de facto black position, and it's not. So she's doing the same thing with Asians, like saying if you disagree with her, you're just looking for white acceptance, and that's where she lost me in her argument, amongst other things.
And you could be lethal towards black people. FBI, let's run the numbers on that. Get back to me on who's more lethal to who when we compare Asians and black people. You're not going to like the results. Thinking that black people boycotting Asian businesses is somehow going to mend any sort of divide that may exist between Asian and black people is actually insane. It furthers the divide. It does not build a bridge. Instead, we should be looking at each individual, regardless of their race, as an individual. Apparently, we have a hard time doing that these days, especially on the woke left, because we're so obsessed with racial identity and victimhood, and that's so deeply attached to how many people view themselves as an individual. Just to clear the air here, Asian people are not responsible for the actions of one particular Asian. They shouldn't be punished for the actions of
all
one
Asians supposed to speak for
particular
what he did,
Asian.
so
But
we're
I know
supposed to speak
that's
for every
not
time a
how the left
Hawaiian
likes
kills
to
someone,
operate. They like
every time
to
a Hawaiian
punish all
kills,
members of a group
rapes,
all at once,
robs,
especially if you're like white or Asian. The only time you get away with
slings
it is
drugs.
if you're, I
We
don't
should
know,
be
black
responsible for that
or
Hawaiian as well, right?
trans. You guys can basically do anything because the left takes all these superficial identity characteristics like your race, your gender, your sexuality, and they put it on this totem pole of victimhood. And whoever's the lowest on the totem pole, meaning they're perceived to be the most victimized in society, they get away with the most. And right now, that's like black and trans people, I guess. It is ridiculous. It's not going to mend fences or bridge the gap whatsoever. In fact, it's going to divide us further than we've ever been divided before. And we see that play out every single day. So I guess try with your Asian boycott. Let's see how that goes. But I think
I could
most
care less.
people
I'm going
can
to be
sort of
I'm going to be supporting all
get
my
the notes
Asian
of this not making any
businesses
and with
because
that,
I like
guys,
anime.
those are
I
my
like Asian
thoughts. I'd
pussy.
love to hear your thoughts in the comments down
Oops, did
below.
I say that?
As
I
always,
didn't
if you
mean to say that
disagree
out
with anything
loud.
I said in this video, do get out just so
I like
respectfully. I encourage a healthy
I like
debate on this
anime.
channel. And if you like
I
this
like
video,
Asian
like,
food.
subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys. It's every day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
But yeah.
Yeah, you better.
Anyway, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up.
Let's throw a penalty flag on the hospital monopolies and their
tired.
abusive price increases.
I want to take the shirt off, and I don't want to do it while I'm live. So I'm gonna end this since I didn't get to have an Ask Me Anything format with anyone. I saw people pop up and pop up sporadically in the chat room, but no one left a message, or I mean, no one left. So I'm Audi 5000. All right. Peace out, guys. See ya. And wouldn't want to be a, but actually, I don't know. I might want to be. You might be a millionaire. I don't know. Peace.